So I told him a little bit
Actually,
on the way
where
here.
is Forest?
He is taking care of the children.
Okay. Didn't come for the trip. Yeah. Okay. Someone has to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm starting. Wow. So first of all, it's not working. I mean, it's so hard, and I was just talking with a friend yesterday. She's living in Australia, and she want to help. And the first thing I've learned since I started, it's a long run, and there is no easy solution. You met a lot of people, and there are a lot of narrative, and everybody's right, and everybody has a solution, and everybody knows what to do if you were the prime minister and everything. And it's very frustrating to try to connect people that are living in a place of conflict. And sometimes it's almost like, why I'm doing this? Why? There is no way it's going to work. So that's my first thought. What I'm doing, I started in 2012 almost by accident, by sending poster design on Facebook to Iranians, and just by doing so, it started a big conversation between Israeli and Iranian, which we didn't have before. In Israel, Iranians are like the devil. They have I mean, nobody knows them because they are living like, and they are the big enemy. Like, it's Iran. Iran is behind Hezbollah. Iran is behind. You see Netanyahu going in the state, on the Senate, and telling you about Iran and Iran and Iran. So it's Iran and the Iranian are, and nobody knows how it looks. We don't have information coming from Iran. We almost know nothing. So starting to talk with Iranian on Facebook was really like refreshing. It was something that nobody suspect can even happen. And what I learned on the first few days, it's like there are many Iranians who are open to talk with Israelis, and a lot of Israelis who are open to talk with Iranians. So we opened a page called Israel Loves Iran, and on that page we ask people to connect. Come to that page if you're an Israeli and Iranian, or if just anyone who like to be part of that conversation, and let's start talking. My background is design, so I'm coming from that point of view, and I'm trying to show good images. So using Facebook, using YouTube, social media, we try to show something else that you're not seeing on the news. So we try to show the good people of Israel, the good people of Iran, and to say, hi, this is also happening. While the bad stuff is happening, there is also this nice stuff happening, and maybe you want to know more. And basically, since 2012, that's what we're doing. We've made a lot of projects that, at their core, has the same goal, is to connect people. So sometimes it's really, we will tell you stories. We will show you a story of an Iranian woman who just married with an Israeli, and they're both living in Munich, and they have a kid, and maybe you want to be part of choosing the name of the kid because it's just the newborn. So it's a big story, everybody's getting in and throwing names, and at the end of the day, by the way, the name chosen was Noor. Noor. And so these kinds of story shows you that it's really possible, and it's on the people level. Most of the people are open and willing to share, to befriend. The second step was because I mean, after you get to the bottom of it, you understand that Iran, I mean, for me as an Israeli, Iran is not my problem. I mean, okay, Hezbollah, there is an issue, but I don't really have issues with Iranians. My real issue is with Palestinians. I mean, we have a real conflict, we have a real problem, the occupation, I mean, the elephant in the room. And so the second step was trying to create the same connection that we create with Iranian, with Palestinian. And to me, I mean, really, if you ask, there are in Israel, I think there is more than 200 peace organization. A lot of stuff going on. I mean, very small organization and huge organization like Machon Peres LeShalom, Peres Center for Peace, and like big, and very small organization of 2 people trying to do something. There are a lot of stuff happening, and everyone is trying to do it his way. So there are people who say, let's get the children meet for a basketball game. Let's plant trees. Let's go on the streets and demonstrate. Everybody doing something. And we choose on early days, me and the people working with me, that just working on social media. So to me, the dream is having every Israeli to have at least one friend, a Palestinian friend, on Facebook or Twitter. That's to me, that's my goal. And that, I mean, when you narrow it down to something that you can achieve, it's become something that you can work on it. When you just try to achieve like peace among the people, it's not working, because it's, like I said when I just started to talk, it's too complex, it's too big. But when you take it on something that you can achieve, you can start working and apply business plan, business model on that kind of project. So that's what we're doing. And we're doing a lot of projects that their goal is to create that one connection. And it's amazing to see how it's working. I mean, again, it's a long walk. But I can see now that I have friends on Facebook that are Palestinian, and now we're having mutual friends. You know that mutual friend, I mean, for those who are on Facebook, when I'm friend with you, and now I'm friend with some of your friends, they're also becoming my friends. So that's how we try to make this happen. And I know it's a long game, and it seems like it's not working, because when you do that connection, you think like, okay, you want to see the result, and that's a big problem of a lot of people living here. You want to see the result. You want to see it now happening, and I think it's not going. I mean, it's going to take more time. I was giving a talk in a class in Rishon LeZion. It's a neighbor of Tel Aviv, and he was like a 15 years old Israeli. And I talked to them about the project called the Peace Factory Israel Loves Iran, and I talked about Iranian, and they were like, dude, you're crazy. I mean, why? Why having friends from Iran? We don't know them, they're the enemy. I mean, that's what they know. And then I went to the Palestinian stuff, and it was like, you're not crazy, you're just like way too crazy. It's like, and when you're asking most of Israeli, they don't. I mean, we're living in a country where 20% of the country are Arabs, and most of Arabs don't have Israeli friends, Israeli Jewish friends on Facebook, and most of Israeli don't have Arab Israelis on Facebook friends. I mean, very few of them, but most of them, it's like their friend, they're really relative, their friend, and that's it. So these kids, they were like, obviously we don't have Palestinian friends. I mean, people from Ramallah, from Gaza, like, and there were. But at the end of the talk, when I was just leaving, 2 girls from that class came to me and say, can you show me how to do the connection? So out of maybe 40 people, I may have changed the mind of 2. I mean, just create that maybe first connection. And from that connection, they can go and meet online. And because when you have a friend from, let's say, Ramallah, for an Israeli, it's not that he's from, it's like, it's that you see what's happening in the day-to-day. It's, you see that he's posting like the same stupid picture that you're posting. But that's when it's, you know, that's when it's hit you, that it's just the same. They're not like the big enemy, they're just like you. They're having kids, they're posting pictures, they're going to birthday. I mean, it's the same stuff, and then you connect. And then it's really difficult to feed you like the propaganda that they are a big enemy, they're coming for you, and blah, blah, blah. So that's my understanding of, that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to leave it to you. So it's not too long.
Thank you again for the opportunity to see you on this trip and to speak with you. You're an inspiration for us. I'm here with my daughter, Ahava, because I want her to meet people like Ronny, who started a peace factory, a factory of peace, and an example of how one person who gets it can impact millions of people. He takes his skills, graphic design, and he has a beautiful daughter, and creates an image of peace, which not only he spreads to millions, but other people share and spread to millions, because I think it gets not only the conflict but also the solution. And I mentioned before that I think the conflict is international, and I think the solution is international. What we do at Me Peace is really offer a platform online for peacemakers from 180 countries to connect online. Haaretz, an Israeli newspaper, called it the Facebook of peace because it works like Facebook. Profiles, sharing photos, videos, discussions, chats, but it's fully focused on Middle East peace. Me Peace is short for Middle East peace. It's also the combination of the words me and peace, and the idea is that Middle East peace starts with each of us. So I wanted Ahava, it's her Hebrew name. Love is the name in English. You can correct me. Lovey is how we call her. I wanted her to be present for this, and to see what her father does and what her father believes in. And it's personal in another way, because Janessa, whose work I deeply respect, has come on previous trips, and I got to meet really passionate peacemakers like you. By the way, on Me Peace, our online platform, and you're all welcome to join. People from so many countries are just free to join, and it's free. But the moment you join, you're not a member of a peace community, you're a peacemaker. It's not just membership. We recognize the step of joining our network, and we recognize you as a peacemaker. And so that's how we look at the people who are part of our community. So you're peacemakers. And I just wanted to mention that Janessa came with a wonderful group 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago. Me Peace was started on December 31st, 2006, almost 10 years ago. And that was my baby. I created and designed this web platform, and I told everyone about it, and they also thought I was crazy. Like I mentioned to Linda at lunch, my father says, "You're abetting the enemy." And this is the response of some people here in this country and some people outside of the country. So December 31st, 2006, we registered mepeace.org online. And December 31st, 2011, this one was born. And it's interesting, on Me Peace, every December 31st, it's Me Peace's birthday, and what we do is we announce our Peacemaker Awards, where we take a number of individuals across the land, Israelis, Palestinians, and internationals who are just groundbreaking in their work, and organizations like the Euphrates. People doing amazing work, contributing to peace. And this is our opportunity to recognize them with our annual awards. And we send a letter, and we say, today is Me Peace's birthday, and the day she was born, we now, today is Me Peace's birthday. On this day exactly 5 years ago, Me Peace was born. And this morning, love was born. Janessa was here then, right around New Year's, 5 years ago, and she invited me to speak to the group. And I came and spoke to the group, and this girl was 10 days old. And it's so memorable for me because I felt like I was floating.
In the beach.
No, not in the beach. It's kind of like that. She likes to float at the beach. So I think what I'd like to do is maybe wrap up right here and maybe open the floor up, because I could share more about my story and more about Me Peace, but I think you've heard enough to, and you've seen enough in the Holy Land, and learned enough before coming and while here to ask some really good questions. So feel free.
So that depends on the work we are doing and the campaign that we're working on. So sometimes it can be up to. We run a campaign that have 2 million views for weeks, every week. I mean, Facebook works like it gives you a great platform to access a lot of people. And when you open a page on Facebook, not a personal profile, they give you also a lot of statistic tools to see and to manage, and it's very accurate. They're very good with that. So that's why we are using it, because it's free and it's easy to use and it's accurate. So sometimes we are up to 2 million a week people on Facebook. So and I can also see the region the people are coming from. So it's a lot of people from Israel, basically this area, Tel Aviv, I mean, more open places. A lot of people from Iran, people from Europe, Germany, the United States, France. And sometimes we have stuff happening, something happened in the world. So a lot of people coming from Paris because there is something in Paris happening, and we're trying to do something good about that. So that can be up to 2 million a week today, this morning was 70,000 a week, but it's a nothing week happening. And Facebook is just one. We try to, to me the goal is to get the message as bigger as possible. So there is a TED Talk with 2 million views on TED.com. There is movies on YouTube. That's it. I'll give you another example. When we just started in 2012, I think it was in March. We were pushing a lot of pictures on Facebook, a lot of portraits of people with a slogan like "We love you," something like that, and it was faces of Iranian and faces of Israeli. And at some point, we received an image of a couple holding their passports, kissing each other. So it was this couple kissing each other, holding their passport, an Israeli passport and an Iranian passport. So it was an amazing image. So we made a poster out of it and we pushed it through the pages we have. A few days later, a friend of mine told me, just go on Google Images and type Iran. So I went, I did it, and one of the first images in the result was that image. And that shows you how big it can be just by pushing stories. And when you push images, and those images are shared and reshared and becoming big, go viral, you can change how people perceive what's happening. Because most of the time when you're typing on Google, you type the Middle East, you type Iran, you type Israel, Palestine, you will have the bad story of the day. But we can change that. It's not that the bad stories are not happening, but also good stories are happening, and it's very difficult to push good stories because it's not selling. So you have to invest a lot of work in pushing those stories. But it can be big. A long answer.
Janet, right?
Yes.
So our
Yeah, you
numbers.
have an
incredible skill.
What?
He can remember everybody's names. I can't remember half the names. I've known you for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You must have a trick.
Yes. And it's a 3-letter word called try. So we bill ourselves as a network of thousands of peacemakers and millions of page visits. We have 5,000 of the most active peacemakers around on the web platform and millions of page visits. But it's only just a way of getting the word million in there because people are sometimes look for numbers and are impressed by the word millions. I think the impact is not always measured by quantity, but by the quality, and we kind of aim to provide really deep opportunities for connection, for hope, for inspiration. We call our platform a platform for interaction, information, and inspiration. Yeah.
Could you tell us of your personal stories and how you got to this point? Because so many other folks that we've talked to from Israel, have a much different point of view. What's your foundational belief?
I was born in a kibbutz very close to the one you've been yesterday, Baram. I was born in a kibbutz called Malkia. My mother, she was a volunteer from France, and my father was the kibbutznik. And then when I was 1 year old, we moved to France, and I grew up in France.
When you say France, we hear
France. So I'm more fluently in Francais than in any other kind of language. But when I was 18, I decided to leave. I wanted to see. I was a teenager. I wanted to see something else, so I decided to come back to Israel. I still don't know why, but I did it. And I went to the army because I was 18, and I had to make that choice: coming back to Israel, go to the army, or stay in France and not going to the army. So I said, okay, let's try that. And it was an amazing experience. It was a very hard experience, but also for a teenager like me, it was very constructive. Gives me rules and discipline and a lot of stuff that I think is good for me to have, and also opened my eyes of, I was in a combat unit in the paratroopers. So it was very, very hard. We were most of the time either in Lebanon fighting Hamas or even in the occupied territories. So it was always, and that opened my eyes. I mean, when you see the conflict from above, from friends, it's like, okay, those guys, they hate you, we hate us. Anti-Semitism, stuff like that. I mean, you don't see it from the ground. And when you are actually on the ground, on the checkpoints, few months ago, 2 months ago, I went to Geneva with a group of 10 Israeli and 10 Palestinians. And we went there to meet and to have a talk, just to see what's happening. So it was Palestinians from all over the place, and Israeli, we have 3 settlers with us. And we say, okay, let's talk. And one of the Palestinians, on the first evening, were telling this story about, she was in an ambulance, and she was trying to cross from Ramallah to go to the Jerusalem area because she needs attention. She was with her sister, and she was about to deliver, and there was problems, so they need. And then she get to a checkpoint, and they were arrested at the checkpoint, and they were checked, and the soldier didn't let them cross that easy. It took a long time before they cross, and they were very stressed, and you can understand the feeling of being in childbirth and being stopped by a soldier. And she was very stressed about that, and she told that story like it was the worst thing happened to her, and I understand it. And she said, who did that? Who does those kind of stuff? I mean, how you, the Israeli, can do that? And I was that soldier. I mean, that was me. I mean, not literally me at that point, but that was me being on the other side. And I told her that was me. That was not me, but I did that more than one time. Because it's not that we have to do it, that someone have to told me, but my job was to stop everything coming to Israel and check that there is not a bomb inside, because it happened. And then, we had a long conversation, and we become good friends, I think, in those 10 days. And it's a two-way story. It's not that I'm that bad soldier that keeps Palestinian coming, and it's not that she's that terrorist. But at that meeting point, it's complicated for both sides. It's also complicated for the Israeli soldier that has to stop. It's a complicated story. I'm not trying to say everybody wins or everybody loses. I'm trying to say that being there in the army opened my eyes. And I guess that the moment that it hits me, it's when I have my first child. That's I guess it's that moment when you understand that it's not just you anymore, and you have to take care of it because of your children. And then I decide to get into it, to try to do something, because most of people I meet, they want to do something, but you are very frustrated because you don't know what to do. Most of the time it's people, they want to help, but what can I do? And I think you just have to do the thing that you do. That one little thing that you do it. And that's it, and go for there. So I decide just to do it, to keep on pushing, posters, and because that's what I do. I'm a graphic designer, so I'm doing posters. So okay, I'm going to do that, and if it works, I'm going to continue on doing it. So that's how I got into it, and I'm still into it. And I'm not telling you it's easy, and I'm not very frustrated because I started with that. And I'm not telling you that sometimes I don't want to wake up because I'm like, oh my God, it's never gonna end. But I keep on doing it. I think I'm kind of on automatic. I'm doing it because I'm doing it. That's it. and that's it.
Story. So I'm going to give you a few details that you might have missed at lunch. I shared. So my father is Israeli, my mother is American. They met a few blocks from here when my mom was studying a year abroad in Israel. Yes, that's how your grandparents met. And we were born in New York, myself and my twin brother.
And your twin sister.
And
Your twin sister is going to Israel.
she's coming to Israel. She's not our twin
In
sister.
Rosh Hashanah.
In the holiday of Rosh Hashanah next week, our little sister. And yes, so we were born in New York, lived there.
Yes.
We were living there till we were 3. We moved to Israel. We moved back to LA. My family is still in LA 30 years later. We're 40 years old, my twin brother and I. And I came back to Israel 12 years ago. 10 years ago, this time 10 years ago, summer of 2006, Second Lebanon War. Here in Israel, we name our wars kind of in succession. First Lebanon War, Second Lebanon War. It's almost like preparing the ground for the Third Lebanon War and fourth.
It's coming.
First war in Gaza, second war in Gaza. I think you were actually here for one of the wars in Gaza, 2009.
And right after the Lebanon, I came in summer of 2006.
Amazing. She chooses like the most challenging times.
Yeah.
That's Janessa.
We got to
Pick a
even
challenge.
smell tear gas in Hebron.
Wow.
There's been stabbing of 2 soldiers.
Right, I saw that on Facebook. I didn't realize you smelled the. And how did you survive that? That's real conflict. That's a war zone. So good for you. Yeah, it was second Lebanon War 10 years ago. I sat for breakfast with a friend, not far from here. She gets a phone call, disappears from breakfast.
It's boy or girl?
It's a girl. Don't tell mom. And I find
I
out.
can tell her.
Yes, you can. I find out later that she just found out that her little brother, he's 19, fell in combat in Lebanon. Final weekend of that war, there was an agreement at the UN already in place between the warring sides, and the Israeli Prime Minister decided to go in for one final push. 33 casualties on this, 33 dead on the Israeli side, many casualties on the other side. And this young man is one of the Israeli fallen soldiers. And I find myself at this funeral for a 19-year-old, and that's where I said, hey, I've always been complaining, if only we had leaders that want peace, then we'd have peace. But we're the leaders that we've been waiting for, and that's it. I want to do something. So kind of like Ronny shared, I decided I wanted to contribute what I could, and I'm a web guy, an internet guy, and I also believe that the web has real potential for us. And so just when Facebook was getting going, I said, let's do something like that for peace. But if you want to know how family responds to that, so I mentioned at the table that my father calls it abetting the enemy. My father calls me Mustafa.
That's a nice name.
Yes. And it's interesting because Lavi's pointing at herself, but she goes to special kindergarten.
Because my friend is named Mustafa in my kindergarten.
That's right, her best friend is Mustafa. The first boy she ever went to was House to play with. Her first play date was Mustafa. If only my father knew. And I remember on September 11th, 2009, we did a big peace cafe. When we started, we got a lot of page visits online, but what people wanted more than anything else was to meet face to face. But it's not easy to bring Israelis and Palestinians face to face. You have to go to Europe sometimes to meet. I came back yesterday from Croatia, where Israelis and Palestinians.
Croatia. How many days my daddy come back? In Friday, in a day like this, he comes in the evening, and in the morning I saw him.
Exactly.
And I jump on the bed.
That's life. Sometimes you have to leave the kids to do what you
Croatia.
to Croatia. To do what that's right. And what I want to share is that there was a young man, a Palestinian named Mustafa, who came to that
Hey,
peace cafe, and
this cafe.
he came on his own, not with a group, not with, and still dangerous. We did our peace cafes in a place called Beit Jala. I think you might have either been in there or been close. Right next to Bethlehem, right next to Jerusalem. It's almost like the safe zone where these 200 peace organizations feel like, hey, we need a spot where we can bring people together. So at the Talita Kumi, a Lutheran school for girls, they come together. And this young man with a camera, because his special skill is photography, came to our peace cafe. And I was so impressed with somebody who wanted to capture the moment with his camera. Came early and very professional, introduced himself as Mustafa. And then a short time later when my father, started calling me Mustafa, I couldn't really explain to him, but I was almost proud to have this association with Mustafa. This is a name I could take pride in. We told the little boy Mustafa's, his 4-year-old's mother, Narine, Palestinian in Jaffa, the story of Mustafa.
And his sister, but it's another Mustafa when he's small. That's when the sister and
This is Love, my spokesperson. So, yes, just like you spoke about, the day that your first child was born, I also kind of geared away from what my family thinks to what she thinks. Again, she's here because I want her to be exposed to this. I want her to be exposed to, deeply committed people that cross the ocean and smell tear gas. When family tells them, don't go, it's a war zone, buses explode, and you say, no, it's okay, it's safe, this group has gone before, and then you have to write home or call home and say, you won't believe what happened to me today in Hebron. Or maybe you don't call home because you don't want them to tell you I told you so. I want my daughter to be around people like that. Yeah. So that's a sliver of what we.
I guess I was also wondering, not just the family issues, but from where.
I come from a very religious background. Yes, it's true. I'm a yeshiva boy.
Yeshiva.
You know the word yeshiva? Yeshiva is basically Jewish. It's almost like rabbinical school. Many years studying Jewish texts.
Yeshiva is to sit.
Yeshiva is to sit
Yeshiva.
in Hebrew. And from there they took the word because these Jewish boys, mostly, sit all day and learn. And that was basically learn Jewish texts. The yeshiva I went to in the old city of Jerusalem basically indoctrinates students with the faith, with the belief that this land was promised to Abraham, which Abraham in Hebrew.
It's
Which-
my daddy. It's the daddy of the daddy of my daddy.
That's right. In other words, my forefather. And
And when it's your Saba,
my Saba is my grandfather's grandfather's grandfather. And interestingly, we Jews believe this land was promised to Abraham, so it must be ours. We forget sometimes that Abraham had another son beyond Isaac. His name was Ismail. And they claim the same. Yes, it was promised to Abraham. My point is, I came from the deep end, and I'm kind of on the other end now. I shared at the table that my grandparents are survivors of the Holocaust, been through hell and back. They came to New York after the war and set up a life where their entire existence was about proving.
it's your brother Barak and Dana.
That's my siblings. But we're talking about the bubby now.
Oh!
And her,
Did she get
my
the
bubby, my
bag?
grandmother's dream was, to continue the Jewish.
And she fell on a...
She fell on her hip and broke her hip, but she's a survivor, so she's going to prove to everyone
Now
that
she's
she can
fine.
get back on her feet.
And she cannot
It's hard to walk, but
she cannot take things.
it's hard
She
for her.
cannot make like this. She cannot bend down.
So we help her.
Yes.
What's
There's Ruby when helping her.
Ruby's a helper. Come, I want you to help me. What I want to share is
Why
that
I need to do?
my grandmother's dream is that I marry a nice Jewish girl, right? Because she was religious. She grew up in a
But she
pious
But
household.
he cannot do it because he's already with Deutsch.
I'm
Like
already,
he's from Philippines.
that's right. I cannot do it because I'm already with Doid's, Levy's mom, who's from the Philippines. You don't find many nice Jewish girls in the Philippines. I came to Israel 12 years ago, planning to meet a nice Jewish girl because
And-
this is where they
and
are.
she says,
And I met a nice Catholic girl.
quiet.
And my grandmother would, warn me, I'm gonna cut you out of my will.
Don't say that.
You won't see a penny, and all these kind of things. When I was growing
Don't
up,
say that.
from like this age, I wasn't, expected to marry a nice Jewish girl.
Don't say that.
Okay, I'm not saying it anymore. She survived World War II when she was 16 because after her father was taken out of the home in Poland when she was 16, made to dig his own grave and shot into it, and her mother was taken with her little sister and split from her and sent to a concentration camp, and that's the last she saw of them. She survived when a woman in the forests of Poland met her as a 16-year-old and told her, I have 4 sons, and you're going to be my daughter. And for a year and a half, she hid her and her boyfriend, my grandfather, Zeta,
Yes.
in a pit in the backyard of her house, in the woods in Poland. The danger that if someone discovered them, her entire family, this woman was Catholic. And here I am, 4 generations later, and I've met, my better half, and she's Catholic,
And she said Deutsch.
and she's Deutsch, and it's almost like what goes around comes around. My grandmother accepts this woman,
Whoa.
and she accepts this child, and her little brother. So, I don't know if that says where my heart is. This is where my heart is. That's it. And if I could just add one thing. Her name is Love. And we were fortunate.
Abba.
That's right. This year, November 22nd, a little brother was born to Love.
In Hebrew it's
And we had the little conundrum. We named her Love. What are we going to name the kid? And
Shalom to
we, like Janessa,
Shalom because there are family in Shalom in High
high end.
and Svi because Svi is the daddy and Svi is the husband of my baby.
She said it. And I'll say a few more words. We named the kid Shalom Tzvi. Sam in English. Shalom is peace.
Pa,
We named her Love. We had to give her a name with import.
practice.
And so we have peace and love in the house. And the second name is Tzvi after my grandfather.
Shabuji. Gay.
Yes.
After
Who got to know the little
Shabuji.
one, this one, and didn't get to meet her brother. But his name carries forward.
Not carries forward.
Yes, his name is Tzvi. Good.
No, not carries forward.
יאללה, חבר.
I'm not religious. Definitely not. From my point of view, I always have a complicated relationship. I mean, for me, it's not complicated. I mean, I'm more of a Jean-Paul Sartre kind of view of moral, and I think that we create our stories and we create our values. I mean, we, the people, wherever we're coming from. And I have, it's always scare. I mean, religious scares me personally, for what I've seen of it. It scares me that there is what to do and what not to do. When you live in Israel, it's very, you can see, you can feel it. We were just eating in a place that it's not okay to have coffee because it's supposed to be like milk coffee, and all these rules that coming from religions from above, or for people saying this is religion, are really scary to me. I understand religion. I understand the feeling of believing in something bigger. And when it's just a belief, I believe in God, I think it's beautiful and it's okay. And when it's translated to a set of rules of do and don't do, and I will tell you how to do it, and with who to do it, and what to wear when you're doing it, that's becoming a problem for me. So I'm okay with everything along, as long as it's not, telling you what to do. I'm really open to everything. I have a lot of religious friends. You live in Israel. I grew up in a family that is, my mother family, they're not Jewish, they're Christian. We had a Christmas tree at home. I did Christmas and not. I discovered Hanukkah when I just came in Israel, because in my family, the family I grew up with was my mother family. So it was always Christmas and, Passover, this kind of stuff. And so I'm like open to Santa and everybody, as long as they're nice and they're bringing some presents.
I'd like to
I'm okay with that.
I'd like to add one more thing about faith, because I think it's a really important opening, and I wish I remembered to say it before. So basically, I'm an agnostic, maybe even atheist, still kind of in between there. I come from a very religious background. I'm not very religious anymore at all. And of course, for our children, we're hoping for an upbringing which respects all faiths.
But you're vegetarian.
I'm vegetarian. It's important for me to emphasize that even though I'm not religious, definitely not observant, I have a deep respect for people of faith. And I think for a lot of you, faith carried you over the seas to here. I know Janessa and Forrest are faithful people, and I know faith plays a big part in the work you do. And I think faith, has a huge role in the solution for all of us. So I'm not there anymore, but I'm very grateful for the faith, the role of faith, for your faith.
He's there.
Yeah, and obviously it's going to be part of the solution. We are living in an area where religion is everywhere. Literally, every step you take, you standing on, someone did something here. You were in Galilee, Jerusalem, everywhere. So it's important to acknowledge that and to understand it, and not to reject it like, as an old thing. So I understand it. I acknowledge it. I'm not part of it. I don't believe in a God. But I like the don't kill, don't. I like those 10 commandments. I think we have to have moral grounds, moral rules. I don't care who wrote them.
Very nice. Well put. I can speak that from me piece's experience. We're around about 10 years. You're around about 5 years.
I'm about around 4 years.
Yes.
Because I'm 4 and I'm 5 and 6 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
Blah,
Basically, until love was born, basically until about 5 years ago, there was hope. Olmert was prime minister. And a lot of this is dictated by the political realities and
Please.
political leaders. Bibi Netanyahu swept into power, 7 years ago.
מה זה אומר אבא?
What it means is that Bibi became prime minister,
מה הוא
became powerful,
התקלט?
and life changed for all of us. And we feel it. And I feel it as a professional in the field when Israelis like your friends or the friends of your friend are hesitant about coming to events because they think it won't make a difference anyways, or because they're scared. When Palestinians say, what for? And that's the reality for a number of years. But the solution is not only above. I think the solution is for all of us to do what we're doing, what you're doing.
I mean, he's right. We have a government, like, I mean, especially the last one, the one that was elected like 1.5 years ago, which is I think is the worst government we ever had, ever. Because it's a government that is only right, extreme right, and the religious parties. But not only that, so that's one part of, I don't know if you understand how the government is working in Israel, how, if you understand, so they are the one in the ministries and the one deciding. And on the other side, you're supposed to have something called an opposition. And they just decide to let go. They just decide not to be an opposition, which is also like, I mean, there are always two sides. That the side that take control, and that the side that's supposed to defend you, that doesn't do anything. I mean, the opposition in Israel, it's like, it's a shame that they even call themselves an opposition. I mean, they decide, oh my God, I mean, I don't want to get into politics. So that creates that sense of witch hunting when no one is here to protect you. The one who, it's their job to go every day and talk and be loud about what's happening. They're like, we're not going to say nothing because it's the best tactic in politics now. And a lot of people are afraid to speak out, afraid to post online. You know, why is posting something? A few months ago, I posted something about the army. It wasn't that very, but it was about the experience of the field and Palestinians, and I think I got 2,000 comments on that post. Half of them were, go fuck yourself. And I'm being polite.
Very polite.
Very polite. It's really hard to get those 1,000 comments coming to you and read them. And people are very, I mean, online people are really aggressive. They can say like horrible stuff. And it's getting into you. You have to be very like detached. And even me, that I have few years now of, you know, experience with that, it was like, oh my God, it's hard to go to sleep with all this hate coming at you, and we're going to kill you, and we're going to do this and that to your children, and go, I mean, it's very hard. So most of the people, you know, they won't go online and say what they want to say. They're just gonna say, they're gonna stay like, let's wait for the wave to calm down. But it's the most dangerous to me, it's the most dangerous way of acting. You have to be loud. You have to speak up, because it's when you know, it's when you get down and wait for something good to happen that it's not happening, that everything is taken from you. And I'm really afraid. I mean, these days I'm really afraid about how the politics in Israel is shifting from a good place to a really bad place.
I want to add one more thing, if I may. So yes, it's true. It's around here, and you've met people on this trip, and you sense the desperation, maybe lack of hope, the challenge, and so the facts are true. It's getting harder and harder, and yet Janessa manages to bring a respectable group every time. And from what I see, yeah, the situation gets harder and harder, and yet we see that, I mean, you bring hope. And so I think this again reinforces the hope, the inspiration for us, because we meet people who believe in us, who believe in the goodness and the possibility of humans to make a difference and to fix things. So there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's coming from here.
Yes.
Following on from that, one of the things that
So I'll say this, because each of us, I think what he said is right. It's taking our skills and making a difference. The fact that you're here, I think, already speaks to your ability to do that, because you actually took your money and put it where your mouth is. You took your commitment and you expressed it by taking this risk and being on this journey. And I can't believe you are exposed to tear gas. I can't believe it.
What do you
believe
do?
it.
What do you do in life?
right now I teach English in the Gulf actually, so
Wow.
I didn't come as far as everybody else.
So
No,
you're a teacher.
But I think
So you're a teacher.
I think this speaks to the power actually of each person. Here you are teaching English in the Gulf, a language that connects people worldwide. You're free. You can go. But
So you have it. I mean, I mean, being a teacher, you're exposed to a lot of people, and you can also, you have access to those people, and you can tell them your story. You can tell them what you think. I mean, I met someone once, and he told me, you can only do the thing that you can do. And that sounds like really like, but it's so true. I mean, if you're a teacher, teach. And that's the way you can change things. This is your skills. This is the thing that you are good at. And with that skills, you can make good around you. And it doesn't mean to be political. Doesn't mean, I mean, you can't be a teacher and the day after becoming the prime minister. I mean, it's not, you have to start with the thing that you do.
And what a great start. I mean, you're doing this in the Gulf. You're going to take this experience of Israel and Palestine back with you and educate people about it. If I can speak to what Ronny said, you know, we get asked this question, isn't it a drop in the sea?
In the
It's-
sea, in the bridge.
In the sea, in the water. The ocean is big, and sometimes it feels like a drop,
In the bridge.
like a little piece of sand in the beach. It feels like, am I making a difference? And someone in the community of Love's New Kindergarten, it's a community of 250 families, Arab, Jewish, and Christian, establishing a new school for children to be raised with respect for all faiths. Somebody shared this story on the WhatsApp group, which kind of like keeps the hope alive, this WhatsApp group. You will soon. Someone shared that, someone basically challenged us and asked, do you know how much honey a bee creates?
Honey of a...
Honey of the bees. Do you know how much honey is created by a bee over a lifetime? I had no idea, and he says, it's half a teaspoon. Scientifically, it's half a teaspoon. And she had half a teaspoon of honey last night when I brought her. Just like that, she finished off the life work of a bee.
Shame on you, right?
And so we ask ourselves, the bee worked so hard an entire lifetime, and that's like a drop in the sea, isn't it? But no, the bees work together, and look, her throat is better for it.
That's good.
Very, very soon we'll go to the milk. Maybe milk will come here. So yes, just a reminder, or another way of remembering that you're making a difference. I'm sure if we opened it up, your friends here would actually speak to the skills you have beyond teaching, maybe insightful questioning, and focus and so forth that you can bring. You're invited to join my network, Me Peace. You know, a lot of Ronny's work is in English and it's open to goodwill people to join and maybe get inspired and start something on their own.
Maybe just one more question? 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm sensitive.
Sort of, is it across the board? I'm just more interested in where that is sort of focused or where it's coming from.
To me, it's coming from, I mean, it's a lot of propaganda coming from the government. I mean, shoving you like, it's not okay to talk to the other side. I mean, teaching you that the other side is the enemy, the other side is worse. Then when you're talking to the other side, you're a traitor, you know, it's amazing how easily it works and how it's always the same. When you see a country that shift from democracy to, you know, dictatorship or whatever, you can see it's always happening the same ways. I mean, look what happened in Hamas was elected in the Gaza Strip. They were elected democratically, and same goes with Italy in the Second World War. Hitler was elected. I mean, those guys, they came to power through with the people clapping and saying, "Yeah, good work." And then, and then you woke up one day, and you're like, "Oh my God, what did just happen?" And then it's too late. And we're on that path. And I'm not the only one saying it. I mean, a few months ago, on the memorial of the Shoah, one of the most, you know, the second commander-in-chief in the army says it. He says, "I see pattern that reminds me the pattern that we had in Germany in '39." And he was booed, and he was threatened, and he was like, "You're a traitor," and he take a huge risk going out loud. And no matter that is like almost the commander-in-chief of the army, how you can say this person is a traitor? I mean, he's risking his life, like literally, since he's 18, for you, and you have the audacity of calling him a traitor? You're not even in the army. You didn't even serve. I mean, most, you know, but, you know, people don't care. They will attack you over and over, and that's a strategy. And that's a strategy that the government is allowing to happen. They're not behind it, that they're not sending their people to do it, but they're not stopping it for doing it. And they have people that it's their job. There is some people in the government that, I mean, it's clearly their job to do like this kind of stuff. And that's how it works. And at some point you just, you know, you're too afraid or too tired or too whatever. You just want also to live your life and to take your kids from school back home. And you don't want problems with your own, you know, I have a business to run, I have a school, I have students, I mean, it's hard to always be political.
So I take a different approach to, I understand things maybe from a different angle. And I used to think it was the government, if only we had leaders that cared and wanted peace, then we'd. What I see is peaceful, and I speak now as an Israeli. It's quiet, it's peaceful. What's the problem? So the fact that we're sitting on the Titanic and headed straight for the iceberg, I mean, the music is playing, and it's beautiful. I think there's a almost, what do you call it when they put on the horse?
Blinders.
Yes.
Blinders.
But it does feel like it does feel to me like we're sitting on the Titanic or time bomb, or call it what you want. But life is comfortable. People call this the bubble here in Israel, and it's most dangerous.
What is dangerous?
And I think if I can say it again, another reason it's good you're here is because you bring a different perspective. We live inside the bubble, and you, really a representing the international community, remind us, hey, you might feel comfortable and the beach is beautiful and everything may seem quiet and peaceful, but hey, we're from where we're looking, things are not quite so safe. We're concerned, and it's good that you're here to remind us.
Thank you both
Thank
so
you.
much.
I love your gifts. Thank you, Janessa. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
And talk
That's
about
what we're looking at.